Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Weekly Top 10 MOCs of the Week episode where I show you the coolest custom LEGO creations I happen to see people building in LEGO throughout this last week. But if you are a regular subscriber to this episode, you'll know that we didn't do one last week, so I have added a massive amount of links in the description below. I honestly think I'm hitting the character limit within YouTube video descriptions, and I'll do a very quick highlight reel of what the top 10 would have been last week at the end of this episode as well. I highly recommend you check out the Flickr pages of the builders that I'm showing you guys and a whole heck of a lot more in the description. And I don't present these builds in any particular order of best to worst, just my favorite ones that I happened to see. Before I jump in, I do want to say that we have a physical space that you can now visit, the BrickVault studio here in San Diego for the weekend. So far we've had a pretty positive response, and if you ever wanted to see some crazy awesome custom creations, huge dioramas, and a massive LEGO minifigure collection in person, the deeper look into LEGO Fanatics is definitely available for you here in our studio. Link to that in the description below, it's right at the top of the video. And now let's jump into the top 10 of the week, and very quickly top 10 of last week. The first one we're looking at here is from Anthony Wilson. It's called the Octopuss Garden, and this is just a wonderful look at a somewhat similar scuba diving theme that we got a few years back from LEGO themselves, with the prime color being yellow, but honestly this is just a completely different and next level build style added to this underwater world. The somewhat smooth and rounded over capsules that make up the research center feel a little bit cartoony and friendly. In the description he has a few lines from the Beatles' Octopuss Garden actually there, so you can see there maybe was some crossover or some influence from the Yellow Submarine. I have a very strong suspicion that that was the case, but personally the most impressive parts of this build for me are the actual organic life that you see below. There's lots of nice colors, interesting little hexagonal segments made of a lot of different cheese wedge pieces. That's a great looking design. And deeper below it looks like there is another reflective surface to be explored. This is a super solid build. And then we are jumping over to a design from the builder Big Planes. It's called Lego Concord, and I may be jumping the gun on this a little bit because I think he's going to get some expert pictures taken of his finally finished model. If you've been watching this episode consistently the last few weeks, you may have noticed that I've been posting this guy's work in progress photos over the last month or so, and it's just an absolutely amazing Lego Concord build. It looks like it's about Fig scale, maybe a little bit smaller. These planes were pretty big as far as I remember. And for those unfamiliar, this is the fastest known passenger jet that ever existed. It was discontinued, or they disallowed it from flying after a certain point, but from what I understand it looks like there may be a reinvestment into the Concorde or a passenger plane that can fly very fast like the Concorde for the future. It's got a very interesting and super unique design. I had a wonderful large-scale model of this as a kid, and Big Planes did an awesome job knocking out this larger version of it in Lego form. Now the next one, moving down, number 8 in the lineup, is just a cube. Nothing to see here, guys. Or is it a cube Robo from the designer MOCs? I feature this builder constantly because they're always making absolutely awesome looking creations, and this is just another level of ambition that you don't see coming from people very often, really. In fact, I don't know when somebody has built a robotic figure that can fold completely into a cube. We don't actually get any progress pics from MOCs to see what that transformation actually looks like, but I'm sure this is a very delicate and finicky little build, and it's probably the only Lego model that can do exactly what this can do. We're now jumping onto the designer Frost. It is February, where some people like to make lots and lots of rovers for the month of February, and this is my personal favorite that I have seen from this month so far. We have the new Speed Champions windscreen piece used. The teal and red really pop together well, and it's nice to see that we're now getting so much of this relatively new color that the wheels are completely made out of the tiles. I think those are 2x4s. The traction looks terrible, but the flashiness is definitely not understated. I also really like that curved design design around the hood. And now let's jump up to Ralph Langer. And the title that I see for this particular picture says Tour 2025. And from what I can see, it looks like strange people from the future are traveling back in time to check out some older architectural buildings. Or perhaps this is just an ancient building that is still standing, because you can see the minifigs here look very different and odd and strange in just about every way. Now, this aspect of the model isn't what really grabbed me. This guy, Ralph Langer, is an absolute fiend for awesome techniques, and the decrepit, decaying walls have some great pieces thrown in there. Everything looks like it's mismatched and leaning a little bit to one way or another. The use of the tread pieces and some of those exposed wood pillars by the top of the roof look awesome. And take a close look at how that ground was put together. I thought that technique looked familiar, and then he actually references directly in the description that he was inspired by the designer Full Plate, who is probably one of the leading innovators in terms of new strange building techniques. I highly recommend you check out this guy's Flickr if you want to maybe get a greater idea as to how these strange details can be built with Lego bricks, because it frankly doesn't look very much like Lego at this point. And if you're keeping track, number 5 moving down in the build is from Marco DeBon, and this is the Lego Grendizer or Goldrake or Goldorak. I think those are just the same name in different languages, but it's another one of those famous super robots from a 1970s Japanese TV show. I didn't know the name of this guy before looking at the picture, though he still does look very recognizable just from pop culture images. And because the anime style of this robot is so smooth and frankly quite simple compared to today's standards, Marco's studless look and completely rounded over exteriors really captures an authentic depiction of this super robot. It's highly posable, it looks incredibly strong, and something tells me that on the inside it's probably not the most complex thing to build. This is a great example of a designer making something look both just wonderful on the outside, but not splitting your head open with complexity on the inside. Personally, I think it is a mark of a very, very talented designer. Now, here's a fun one from the designer Jaiva. We have the T-84 155mm heavy artillery unit, but essentially it's a giant turtle, or tortoise perhaps, with a huge old cannon on the back. There's a great use of some Technic / Bionicle / buildable figure pieces here, but mostly system bricks on the outside. I think that's a great combination of both worlds, and you can see that this is both a supply tortoise as well. You can see some packs on the side as well as a cloth blanket. It's simple, rugged, somewhat minimalistic, and then holy guacamole, I just looked up what a 155mm cannon actually looks like in real life to get an idea of the scale of this gun, and it seems that this tortoise is some kind of freak massive monster from the prehistoric era or something like that, because it must be absolutely huge. As far as I'm concerned, that just adds to the cool factor. And then from the designer Asgardian Studio, we have an amazing helicopter build. It's called Cyberpunk Syncropter, so I guess it's not technically a helicopter, at least maybe that's what the official name is for these intersecting blades on the top, but it is such a smooth and minimalistic look for what feels like a very intimidating, cold, and sleek killing machine of the future. Cyberpunk usually has the overtones of a authoritarian and somewhat evil overlord elite population with very, very deadly and aggressive police force units, and there's just something that encapsulates that idea so well with this look. It's such an advanced machine that the pilot doesn't actually need a visual windscreen to see anything from the outside. He probably has all the instruments and readings given to him from consoles from the interior. This is actually something that's been on the drawing board for modern planes for quite a long time, so it's interesting to see that some of the futuristic vehicles from this universe have actually employed that idea, and I think it looks so cool from the outside with no cockpit in the front. Truly, it's my favorite helicopter from the year 2020 so far, and anybody that builds something afterwards is going to be competing with this design. Now here's a fun one from the builder Cesium. We have the H301 Autonomous Reconnaissance Unit, or what looks like a bald eagle with a lot of cybernetic enhancements. There's so many fun, interesting, and pretty obtuse things added on to this bird. He's got a cyber leg, a strap with knives or daggers on the outside, like somehow he's going to be using these as weapons for some reason. But then of course the interesting bit here up by the head is he's got a pretty over-the-top visual enhancement unit. If he's got something on him that can improve his vision, eagle vision already, that's pretty scary, and something tells me the green dot on top of his head isn't meant for seeing, but perhaps it's like a laser for targeting in on units. He's got a little comm piece for radioing back to base, and the organic pieces used to make the plumage really separate themselves from the tech, which is fun. Now we're jumping on to the last build of the week from Lepra Lego MOCs. This is Boulevard des Lumieres. It looks to be built at a 32 by 64 scale, so this is probably integratable into a Lego modular city. The sidewalks certainly seem to indicate that as well, and it is an amazingly detailed build both from the outside and inside. I love the build for the roof. I know there's a particular name for this style of roof. It's kind of got these steel rivets. The windows poke out seamlessly from there. There's a guardrail towards the top. It looks great from all angles on the outside, minus the back feels a little bit open, and it is a relatively tall model, so if you did put this next to other creator modular sets, you would have a bit of exposure here, though this may actually look similar to how the backs of some of these buildings do look in alleyways and such. But the truly magnificent piece of the model here is the way it actually opens in the back, similar to how the Ghostbusters Firehouse headquarters is built, and there you've got everything you might think you need. There's stairwells, there's just all kinds of rooms. He has a ton of great detailed pictures with wonderful lighting, so I highly recommend you check out the Flickr and everybody's Flickrs if you want to see more awesome pictures. But needless to say, this is a truly impressive and awesome Lego creation. And then in no particular order from last week, here are a bunch of builds that I actually had already recorded but just didn't have time to overlay and publish. But Marcin Otreba's Skyrim Part 1 has an amazing thatched roof. Jonathan Elliott's Lamborghini Countach LP400 is absolutely amazing. 7-stud wide is the new great way to build cars. Red did the K9 multi-purpose support unit. I've never seen Bionicle and buildable Fig pieces match up so darn smoothly for a creature like this. BV built the Rahak Buzzer. There's actually a few other builds that kind of fed in from other designers that matched up wonderfully this week. This is really a creepy and interesting one. Robson N's gunship looks really cool. I love that sticker mouth detailing. I know it's not official Lego piece, don't care. Then Ad Norel built the Blumenkrantz. The slope pieces on the nose are so complex and interesting and overdone, and they look amazing, and something tells me that this is like the most technically intricate and complex and difficult thing I've seen somebody build for the year of 2020 so far. Just that front nose section in the front. Then let's move on to something more simple. This is Luis Peña's build. I can't pronounce the particular name of this pilot or ship, but it's an early stage airplane with the canvas and exposed wooden exterior for the back by the tail. It's just a wonderful little build. Jelly Eater built the late Baroque church with one of the best dome designs I have seen. Noble Bun built the A1 Asimov, though there's actually some pieces here that look like they're not totally Lego, so I don't think this counts. It's a digital build, but there's actually pieces that are non-Legos. You know what? Let's just say this one doesn't count. And then the Inkling Bricks New Orleans inspired jazz club and voodoo parlor is so cool. But if you want to go cool, then let's go to the LED lit Cyberpunk Night City vignette. Nothing too complex looking here, just a lot of neon and a lot of weird retro tech. All right, that's gonna be it for this top 10 MOCs of the week episode, everybody. There are a ton of things in the description below if you want to see more. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our content, you always feel free to like or subscribe. We do have a physical studio space that people can actually come and visit, so check out that link in the description below as well. We are in San Diego. It's only for the weekends, and I am done talking. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.